I am in love with a woman, and that woman is me. So cringe. So cringe. Oh, so cringe. No, not cringe. A little cringe, but not real cringe. Loving yourself shouldn't be cringy. It's also, I feel like when people say, I love myself, it's mistaken for arrogance, narcissism. No. My definition of humility is being right-sized. We are not better than anyone and we are not less than anyone. It's to stay right-sized. And I think loving yourself, truly loving yourself, is an act of humility. I believe that if everyone loved themselves, there would be no war. We'd all have peace. Everyone would love each other. Okay, so that was cringe. But in all seriousness, I am on a journey of self-love, and that is my latest obsession, is learning to truly love myself. When I was younger, I had a journal, and in it I would write the most horrific shit about myself. I would literally write, "You're a fucking idiot. You're not good enough. No one will love you." Like, I would negatively affirm this awful stuff. And that was a long time ago. And I've since learned that I had the power to retrain my brain and recreate my self-image. And I worked really hard at learning to love myself. And so I would force myself to do these positive affirmations that repeat day and night of saying, I am enough, I am lovable. And it's not like I was entirely self-hating, because I wasn't. I also thought I was great too, but it wasn't balanced. They say in Alcoholics Anonymous, you're either grandiose or comatose. So I definitely had that, where it was either like self-loathing or like I thought I was the most talented, amazing person that ever walked the earth. Neither of those are true. And since I've been in recovery for a long time, I've learned about, humility and staying right-sized. Well, I don't want to go on too much about, codependency, because I feel like I've been talking a lot about that. But having been in a codependent relationship for a long time, I did start losing myself, and I did start seeking the approval and love and validation from others rather than getting it from myself. And only since we have separated have I had the willingness to, and the desire to find that and nurture that within myself. So what does loving myself mean? For me, it's like, how do you want to receive love? And I don't care if you're in a healthy marriage or, in a strong relationship, or if you're separated or if you're single. It doesn't really matter. Like, I believe, and this is just my belief, you can choose to disagree, that the most important relationship that you will have is with yourself. And truly loving yourself unconditionally is so incredibly important. And I think affects and impacts the relationships around you in a huge, in big way. The more I love myself, the more I'll be able to truly love and nurture my children and my friends and my family. And I think that self-hatred, if you hate yourself, how the fuck are you going to love anyone else? You know? So I came to the realization that is the most important thing. It's not actually right now. It's not, and I know some of you are going to come at me. It's not fix your marriage. No. I have to heal myself, and he's on a journey to healing himself. And that is the most important thing in my mind. And it's how I'm going to be a better, more loving, understanding partner, is through having that unwavering love for myself. So how do I do that, you ask? Well, I do things that I enjoy doing, like I'm taking myself out to lunch whenever I can, and that's really lovely. And I'm just sitting there and enjoying the food and taking myself on a date. I am buying myself plants because I really like plants. And yeah, I might be talking to those plants. Yeah, I might be. I am sketching a lot. I am not very good at it, but I love to do it. And when I was a kid, I always loved sketching. I was always sketching. And my friend Holly said to me, hey, remember I used to sketch all the time? Why don't you do that? This is why girl friends are the best, because they just know exactly what you need. And for so long, as a woman in my 30s, working woman, working mom, everything I was doing was out of responsibility because I had to. I have to work, I have to watch the kids. Of course, I love both of those things, but even if I didn't love them, I would have to do them. So sketching, I do not have to do this. No one is asking me, trust me, no one is asking me to sketch. I'm doing it for the sake of doing it. I think it's what you call a hobby. Have you heard of that? Like, who has hobbies? Who has time for hobbies? Well, I'm making time. I'm literally making time. Every time I have a free minute, the kids are napping, or someone's watching them, or they're asleep, or I don't have work, I'm sketching because it brings me joy. I love it. I'm drawing women. I've always loved to draw women, and I just love women so much. And that's what I'm doing. And it's really, really fun and like calming and meditative. I believe that in Buddhism, the definition of meditation is just being fully, fully present. So like if you're chopping a tomato, but you're fully focused on that tomato 100%, like nowhere in your mind are you thinking about that work meeting or that guy or whatever. You're just chopping the tomato. That's a form of meditation because you're fully, fully present in this moment. So for me, when I'm sketching, I'm oftentimes fully, fully present. I'll put on music, good to me music, and I'll just get lost in sketching, and it's meditative. It's amazing. Another thing, like I said, buying plants, taking myself out to eat when I can. Of course, I'm listening to inspiring women, affirmations. I've been listening to a lot of like Oprah and Brene Brown and Louise Hay. Louise Hay is actually dead. She died at 83, but she's brilliant. I actually wrote a lot about her in my second book called Idiots. And she's so brilliant. And she's a big believer in that we're the co-creators of our own lives. And that how powerful our thoughts are. So that's another thing I'm doing is and like she took a dance class at 70, like in school, she was always told, oh, you're too tall to do ballet. You're too tall to dance. And so like at 70, she was like, fuck you. I'm going to go take a fucking dance class at 70. And I'm going to prove you wrong and do it because I want to do it because I want to dance. And she did, and that's amazing, I think. So lots of meditations, affirmations, stopping the fear-based thoughts. I'll walk through the day having these thoughts that are so morbid and so scary and so mean about myself or about my situation. And I'll notice the insane thought, the fear-driven thought. I'll notice it. And sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. And I'll say, okay, is that thought true? Maybe, yeah. Do I absolutely know that thought is true? No, I don't absolutely know. How does that thought make me feel? Horrific. And who would I be or how would I feel without that thought? I would feel much, much nicer. So I'm going to choose then to have a positive thought. I'm going to choose to believe that my life is working out better than I could have ever imagined. I'm going to choose to believe that people have the best intentions. I'm going to choose to believe that I am beautiful on the inside and that I am enough and whole exactly as I am, not because of who I'm with, not because of what I do, not because of who I gave birth to. Nope. Not because of how many reviews my book has on Amazon. Not because of my tits, which are really kind of sad at this point. Now, this is a negative thought, but let me just run with it for a second and then I'll catch myself. Because no one talks about the fact that my tits were rigorously sucked on for 3 years straight, pretty much. And they were so full and big and they were just sucked on day and night by these little gremlins. Just kidding. And now they're just, honestly, they're closed for business at this point. They've been so destroyed from these little babies. Not destroyed, just used up. They're used to the max. And now they're like tiny again, which I actually love because I always say I can go horseback riding. It doesn't even hurt. Though horseback riding is not very vegan of me. Okay. But I did do it as a child. And I think it's a funny joke. So I say, but anyway, they're just different. The post breastfeeding titties are different. Again, so what do? Look in the mirror and love my sad nipples. Love them exactly as they are. Love them, appreciate them. My titties kept 2 babies alive for the first year and 2.5 years of their lives, but certainly for the first year, because like after that they were eating solids. They would have been alive regardless of my titties, regardless of my milk wagons. My babies would have been alive after the first year, but for the first year of both of their lives, I kept them alive through my melons, my milk wagons, my titties. And that is amazing. That's something to be celebrated. My nipples, my breasts are something to be celebrated. I'm appreciative for them because I like that my children are alive. I like that about them. So there you go. Back to loving myself. And then I wanted to talk about self-love on this episode. I wanted that to be the main thing because I think it's actually what I'm discovering is how important it is in honestly any area of your life. Because if you're even defining yourself by any sort of external thing, whether it's like your work or your relationships, or the way you look even, then when, your looks fade, well, then your self-worth fades. When you get fired from your job, well, then your self-worth fades. Well, if you're separated or struggling with your romantic partner, well, then you're not enough, right? Because you tied all of those things to who you are and to how worthy you are and how much you mattered. But if we can grasp loving ourselves entirely every single day and night, and not being defined or not letting our happiness be contingent on our external situations, then we're golden, baby. Then we're golden, because no one can shake us. No one can, no one can hurt us, really, if we have unwavering love and faith in ourselves and understand how amazing and powerful and perfect that we are. And it's funny because I feared saying that because does it seem self-involved? But no, it's actually the opposite. It's the person who's missing self-love, who doesn't have that self-love, that goes out in the world and hurts people, intentionally or unintentionally. It's someone who's missing self-love, who needs it. There's a difference. There is a difference in needing love and neediness for love. The neediness to me says you don't love yourself. So you need that guy to text you back. And if that guy doesn't text you back, then you must not be enough. You need that job. You need that promotion. You need to lose that 6 pounds. Then you'll be enough. Then you can fully love yourself. That's conditional love. Fuck that. That's conditional love. Yuck. Yuck to that. I love myself regardless, fully love myself. I fully love myself regardless of how relevant I am, regardless of my romantic status, regardless of how I look externally, regardless of my crooked teeth, which, funny, my teeth, the journey of my teeth. I've always thought you can tell if someone grew up with no money because they oftentimes have crooked teeth. Parents couldn't afford braces, okay? That's a luxury that y'all had, okay? That's a luxury. So I never had braces. And I remember I have a couple funny instances of people criticizing my teeth that I can look back on and find funny. So one time I was dating this guy and I went to go meet his mom, and she literally opens the door and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" Looks at me. I give her a big smile and she goes, "I swear to you." She goes, "You know you have an overbite, right?" Like, what, dude? You just met me. You just met me. How come? How come that? Can you wait 20 minutes to talk about my overbite? The guy who was whatever, he was like, "Mom, seriously." He's like, "What?" "She does." "Well, she does." How does one respond to that? I think I just didn't say anything. Then I had an agent tell me that I was never, and this was back in the day, I had a theatrical agent tell me that I would never get work unless I got braces. I thought I would never get work. I would never book work. And it was just very, very matter of fact. Look, you will not book jobs here in Hollywood. If you don't fix your teeth, you need to go fix your teeth. And I always thought, no, my crooked teeth, it's character. It's part of who I am. And the dentist says it's not causing any issues. You know, it'd be one thing if it was causing like dental health issues, but it wasn't. It's not. So it's purely just aesthetic. It's purely just so you like looking at me more because my teeth are perfect. And that was not a compelling enough reason for me. And I think that that's because my mom always just like loved me unconditionally. And so I just never had an issue with my teeth. Okay. So I thought it was weird that other people did. So then he said that. And this agency, it was really funny. So they asked me for like, basically when you try and get an agent, you have to send in like videos of past, commercials and TV and film work you've done. Well, I hadn't done anything. So I was like, I don't have anything to send you. And they were like, okay, pick out a scene from a play and come in and perform it for us. And we'll either sign you or we won't. So I went to the library and I'm looking through all these plays to figure out what monologue I want to do for this agency. And I could not find any that were really making me laugh. I just couldn't find any ones that I really loved. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to write a monologue and go in there and do it. So I wrote this monologue about this girl who was sitting on a bus and started talking to strangers on the bus. And it was just kind of a funny conversation she was having with these people she barely knew on a bus. And I did the monologue and they were laughing and they were just super engaged. And I knew like they were going to sign me. I knew it. And then they were like, man, what play is that? And I paused because I got scared that if I told them that I wrote it, that they would sort of discredit it and they would, I don't know why I thought they're not going to take it seriously if me, this like 19-year-old girl, says that she wrote it, because I'm just the dumb actress. So like I have to lie and say it was a real playwright. So I literally look at them and they go, what was the play? What play is this from? And I go, Colors by Chris Blum. And they go, huh. Okay, well, hey, you're signed. So Chris Blum was a guy who, like, when I was in high school, I was in theater, and he was one of the theater coaches, and his name was Chris Blum. And I fucking just made up the name. I called it Colors by Chris Blum. And then I texted him after. I was like, hey, if anyone reaches out to you, you wrote a play, it's called Colors, and it's by you. And he was like, okay. Anyway, so that's that story. Then they start sending me out on auditions, and I think I book one or two things, and then I finally filmed like a bunch of original characters that I had created, and I sent them the video of all these different characters, and I was like, hey, do you think we could do something with these, or maybe create a show around them, or I don't know, I'll audition for SNL, like, what do you think? And they basically tore it apart. They said it was horrible, that I was horrible. Like, they just didn't like the characters that I sent them, which actually one of them was like the beginning stages of Pamela Popkin. But anyway, hated it. And then they eventually fired me. And they didn't even like call me. They had their assistant email me saying that I was fired. They were letting me go. I was no longer represented by them, and to pick up my headshots and resumes at the front desk by the security guard. So I was like, damn. So I had to like go pick up all my headshots and resumes by the front desk with the security guard because they thought I was going to fight. And they were right. No. And then this is the best part of this story. So a couple months down the road, I meet this manager at a party who was living like with his mom in a 1-bedroom apartment, and he would be like, Laura, you gotta book this job or else my mom and I are gonna be homeless. Like, literally, I would get these desperate calls pressuring me to book jobs, so he wasn't on the street. Like was my manager. Anyway, he calls me. He goes, Laura, I got you this audition. It's 2 lines on a Fox sitcom. You got to go. And I was like, Barry, like 2 lines? Really? No, I'm not going to go in for 2 lines. He's like, just do it. Just do it. And then I remember that quote I heard someone say, there's no such thing as small parts, only small actors. And I just held on to that. So then I auditioned. It was like the stoner best friend. It was literally like 1 or 2 lines. It was a stoner best friend on this Fox sitcom. And they hired me. I got the job. Go to the table read. And I do my 1 or 2 lines at the table read. So the table read on a sitcom, basically, it's like a week before the actual shooting of the show, we all sit around a table and we read out the whole episode. And the producers are there and the executives are there and the cast is there. And so I did my 2 lines and everyone was cracking up at the 2 lines. And I was like, whoa, cool. And then right after the table read, the casting director comes up to me and she's like, hey. And I was like, hi. And she's like, I was wondering if you would audition for the part of the role of the daughter in the show, which is like a series regular, huge part. And I was like, sorry? Because the daughter was there at the table read. And she goes, look, between you and me, the executives really weren't happy with the daughter and her performance, and we love you and we think you're hilarious. So can you meet us on stage 8 in 45 minutes and audition with Brad Garrett and Jolie Fisher, which were like the mom and the dad. So Brad Garrett's like that cop brother on Everybody Loves Raymond, and then Jolie Fisher, I don't know what else she was in. But anyway, so the scene was with them. She's like, meet us all over there and you're going to audition for like all the execs and producers in 45 minutes. I'm like, holy shit. Well, it just so happened that when they were all rehearsing, like the past few days, I was watching the daughter role and I was literally watching all the scenes and like studying what they have done, because I had never been on a sitcom before and I just wanted to study what they were doing. And so I was familiar with the scenes, with the daughter's scenes, because I had been watching them. And actually, I remember going to myself like, I would have done that line like that. Or, I would have done it like that. Anyway, then what do you know? They hand me the script, 45. So I read through it. 45 minutes goes by. I do the audition and I fucking booked the role. And she was like, it's yours. You've got it. You're now Brad Garrett's daughter on the show. Like, congratulations. And I was like, is it because I'm tall? Because Brad Garrett's like 6'8" and I'm 6 feet. And anyway, and then I was like, do you want me to tell the daughter? And she's like, no, Laura, I've got it. I'm like, okay. So anyway, so now I'm in the show. Like, I think I did like 8 episodes total of it, but it was like all over. I mean, I don't know. There were industry people kind of like talking about it because it was just kind of crazy that they like fired this series regular and hired this like glorified extra to take her place. So kind of word got around. So cut to, dude, like 2 weeks later, after I filmed my first episode of this show, fucking the agency, they're called actually Progressive Artists. Sorry, I'm calling you out, bitch. Anyway, they're this like small boutique agency. And they fucking called me and they were like, hey, Laura, we heard about the sitcom is called Till Death. We heard about Till Death and that's so amazing that happened for you. And we would love to have you back. We would love to have you back. And I remember I was like, oh, this moment, it just doesn't get any sweeter. So I paused and then I said, that's really sweet of you to say. I said, well, I've got a meeting with CAA, ICM, William Morris, and Gersh. But after I take those, I'll give you a call and we'll see. And basically I listed off like the top agencies in Los Angeles, which were all wanting to meet with me after I had booked this show. And they're like this very small boutique agency. And it was just like, that was telling them like, there's no fucking way. Like, I literally have 4 of the biggest agencies wanting to sign me. So you lost your chance. Anyway, it was a really nice moment. Like, dude, how did you think that was going to go? You know, he didn't even call me to say like, hey, Laura, it's not working out. He just had his assistant email me saying, pick up your shit with the security guard. You're done. And then had the audacity to call me like, we want you back now that I'm on a show. Basically, because they wanted a commission of the show I was on. They just wanted 10% of the sitcom that I was on. So very funny. But I was really nice about it. I just said, hey, I've got these huge meetings. And then that's what I said. I said, yeah, I've got a meeting with William Morris, ICM, CAA, and Gersh. But if none of those work out, I'll give you a call. That's what I said. Oh, man. That was good. Anyway, love yourself and then hold on, because then I got fired from the show after like 8 episodes. They fired me and they fired JB Smoove is like Larry David's co-star on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's so brilliant. And he was on that show too. And they fired him. They fired 23 writers. They fired the showrunner. The ratings were shit. So they just fired everyone, hoping that if they brought everyone new, then the show would do well. Well, that did not work. But my point is, they fired me and I was still enough. I was still okay. I was still whole. Not going to let an external, right? Because if I let me getting a sitcom fill me up and if I let that determine my self-worth, then the second I'm fired, where's my self-worth? So yeah, just there you go. Perfect example of your happiness and your self-worth is an inside job. That's an inside job. And it's making a decision we must make that decision to love ourselves fully. And when we do, our cup is overflowing and we can give love out to the world. And that's my goal. And so it is a practice, you know, especially with my kind of compulsive recovering addict, constantly craving dopamine and cortisol. It is a daily practice to just do less and affirm that I am enough and I am whole regardless of my external circumstances. That is a practice. So that is what I'm practicing, is self-love. And I hope that you will practice self-love with me. And I hope that you will know that you are just amazing and you are so special and you are so, so incredible, more than you could ever know, or maybe that you do know. And I hope you know that you're so loved. And please let me know in the comments on YouTube, how do you give yourself love? What acts do you give yourself to show your love for yourself? What do you do for yourself? What's your self-care, self-love routine? What's something you love to do? Is it a warm bath? Is it, what is it, man? What is it? You tell me. I don't know. I'm not you, but I love you. Okay. Thank you for listening. I love you. And until next week, have an amazing day. As always, for me, 5 things you're grateful for. Please just think about them or write them in the comments, because it's really, really hard to be pissed off and grateful at the same time. So I'm going to go love myself now. Oh, I didn't even mention this. Alfie has croup cough. And I've just been like up all night with him, holding him, because it's crazy that it's really scary. But rather than resisting, what's going on, getting into radical acceptance about it has been like extraordinarily helpful. We took a shower at like 2:30 in the morning and I just held him, and it was weirdly gratifying and satisfying to just fully love and care for this sick kid. And he's getting so much better. So it's all good. But rather than resisting, going, why is he sick? Why are we up? Why, rather than fighting the reality of what is, just surrendering to it It doesn't mean it's going to be the great, but like I genuinely enjoyed like holding him in the shower for that 40 minutes and he enjoyed it too. And it felt good and we got through it. And because there wasn't resistance attached to it, it's the resistance that causes the suffering. Even in a shit situation, like your kid having croup cough, if you could somehow accept the situation and just give them that love, it makes it less painful for everyone. That's it. Okay, I'm done talking. Bye.